Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of my NFL seasonal and playoff record predictions. This year, a little different from last year, because I used something else other than hand looking at every single schedule, putting it all in there. That would just took way too much time. So this year, I found a nice NFL playoff prediction. It's from the Pro Football Network. You can use it for free, and you can predict every single game from week 1 to the Super Bowl. So that's what I used. I do still have, ceiling and floor, but like the actual schedules won't show up. But I have them pulled up here on my computer, so if I need to say anything, I can talk about them. But anyway, that's really all I have to say. Well, fair warning, there is Colts bias. Um, the title doesn't mean any. Not the title. The thumbnail doesn't mean anything because I'm just trying to get clicks. Got to do it for the business. So no, the 49ers are not going 0-17. But anyway, let's get this started once again with the AFC North. First team we have up today is Cincinnati Bengals, and I have them going second in AFC North. Now, when I was going through this, there was slight differences each time I picked. So the last time I picked was the final one that I did. So the floors and the ceilings might be a little bit messed up. Just a fair warning if something doesn't make sense per se. But I have the Bengals going 13-4. I have them losing to the Chiefs, Ravens, Browns, and Steelers. All of those are away games. Just saying. That's what I have. Of course, that's off my top of my head. If a team's losing 15, 16 games, I mean, I'm not going to remember them all. But Joe Burrow coming off of his injury, he played his first full preseason, I believe. If not his first, then his second. So that's a good sign. He's been very injury prone, but I believe in him. There's been stuff going on with the wide receivers, like T. Higgins. He wanted a contract. I'm pretty sure he's on the franchise tag. Jamar Chase, for some reason, wants a contract 2 years before his rookie deal ends. So I don't know why he is asking that so much, but there's definitely some cracks forming. I feel like this year is an important year for the Bengals franchise, and if they don't get something done here, they might not, reach these heights. So this might be the last year they have this height. One thing I would be worried about is their defense. They don't have the best defense in the world. I wouldn't say their defense is bad per se, but I wouldn't say it's good. I still see, they have Joe Burrow. I don't see him going under 9-8. They went over 9-8 when Joe Burrow was injured, so I don't see him going under 9-8. Their floor, of course, is 10-7, and if their defense can play up to par, then they'll be around 15-2. But I have them around 13-4 per se. Next, we have the Browns, and I misunderstood the Browns last year. I honestly thought that they were not going to do too good. I had them going 7-10. Again, I'm still not confident in them, and that's mainly because of the quarterback. Last year, we didn't know what Deshaun Watson was going to be. This year, we know Deshaun Watson sucks. He's just not going to play up to his Texan form. I don't know if that's still because of mental kind of sort of things. but he's just not that good. The Browns' defense is going to be extremely good, obviously, but I don't per se see them doing too well on offense, so I don't see him having the best record. Now, 10-7 is a respectable ceiling. You know, you probably make the playoffs off of that. But I'm not confident in the Browns' offense. They do have good playmakers, but there's huge questions at the QB. Nick Chubb, the guy who unfortunately got his leg blown off last year, he's still not going to be able to play for at least the first 4 weeks. So that's unfortunate. They're probably not going to start off good. They do actually start off with the Cowboys, and for some reason they've been favored over the Cowboys, but I don't see it, really. They also play some heavy hitter teams like the Chiefs, the Dolphins, Ravens, Eagles. They're not gonna win those. At least I don't think. I don't think their defense can, stop their offenses. If their offenses aren't doing anything, then they're not going to win a lot. So I have Browns going 89, 10-7 at the peak. If Deshaun Watson can kind of play okay. Of course, we all hope he doesn't. And then if their defense somehow doesn't play good, I have them going 6-11. Next, you have the Baltimore Ravens with another 13-4 record, but I think they'll win the tiebreaker off of the Bengals and get first in the North. I do have their floor higher, so that's another thing that went into it. Lamar Jackson, reigning MVP holder. They play the Chiefs week 1. And I think that the Ravens can beat the Chiefs in week 1. I have the feeling, just like I had the feeling last year when the Lions beat the Chiefs. I said the Lions were going to beat the Chiefs, and they did. The Ravens are definitely interesting. Mark Andrews back and healthy. They have Derrick Henry now, Zay Flowers, good receivers like that. It's really kind of just Zay Flowers. Bateman also. Their defense is also pretty good too. I like their defense. I like what they've been doing. So I have them going 13-4. They're going to lose to the Bengals, Browns, and Steelers once, in my opinion. And then they might drop one to, like, the Eagles, the Texans, one of those teams like that. Maybe the Cowboys. I guess you could say the Bills. One of those teams. But even at the floor, I have this team, doing good and making the playoffs. I don't see them doing bad unless, Lamar Jackson gets injured, which we've had past experiences where that happened. But Ravens, 13-4, one of the best teams. Possibly the first seed, if I remember correctly. But now we move on to the Steelers. Steelers, QB kind of stuff. You always know their floor is 9-8. They're never going to get under 9 wins. When I had calculated it and saw, everything that the Steelers could lose, I had them at 6-11 for the floor. Because, let's be honest. They have Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I'm not confident in Justin Fields, so if Russell Wilson doesn't play good, they don't have a good quarterback. I've never been confident in Justin Fields, and every year it's proven to me that I'm right. Every year he was at the Bears, people said that he was going to break out, do all this and all that, and he never did. So I don't have the confidence in him. And if Russ doesn't play good, and that's a possibility because it's Russell Wilson post Seahawks, he's washed. Although he was kind of playing a little bit better back at the Broncos. But defense is still good, obviously. Other than Pickens and Najee Harris, they don't really have many offensive weapons. They have TJ Watt, though. If TJ Watt can carry, maybe they get 12-5. If one of the QBs plays good, they probably will get 12-5. I mean, 10-7. And, if everything comes together, they'll get 12-5. They play some teams like the Cowboys, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, obviously. Those are going to be hard games. Eagles, Chiefs. They're not winning those two, probably. So I have them 10-7. But, maybe that's just Mike Tomlin bias because he always goes 9-8 no matter what. I don't see that changing this year unless something... If TJ Watt gets injured, there's a problem there. If the QB suck, there's a problem. But Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, so I gotta bet that they're gonna at least get 9 wins. They're not gonna make the playoffs, though. That's a fact. They better not make the playoffs. But, next, of course, we have AFC Chiefs, or the AFC West. No surprises here. Chiefs are obviously going to win the division. I mean, I don't even need to point that out. Obviously, we all know that's going to happen. For the other teams, Broncos I have going 4-13. Now, Bo Nix, I got to admit, he did look good. He torched our defense in that one preseason game. Or, meaning Colts, because Colts fan, like I said, there's going to be Colts bias. But the Broncos have a surprisingly harder schedule. Hard games include the Steelers if they're good, Jets, Chargers, Ravens, Chiefs. Obviously, they play with the Chiefs. They also play with the Chargers. Browns, Colts. I don't see the Broncos losing to the Colts in the regular season. Play the Bengals. I don't have much confidence in this Broncos team because a lot of these teams that they're facing are playoff teams. The only non-playoff teams that I'd see on here, that clear non-playoff teams, are spoilers, Saints, not spoilers, Panthers, and then maybe the Raiders. And maybe the Buccaneers. I actually am not confident in the Buccaneers this year. And then the Seahawks are a wild card. Not as in they're going to make the wild card, but as in, there's a lot of mystery there, in my opinion. But the Broncos just have a ton of hard opponents. They have a rookie QB, not that good offense, not that good defense. I don't see this team being good for at least 2 more years. If Bo Nix can do good, and I don't know why I have the floor and the ceiling mixed, but if Bo Nix can do good, then obviously I see him being good in the future. But floor 3-14, ceiling 5-12. I just don't have much confidence in this Broncos team. But hey, I didn't have much confidence last year, so maybe I'm just a jinx to the Broncos, and they're going to win 10 games somehow. I just got to say, last year's Broncos team was better. I'm not going to say Bo Nix is worse than Russ, but last year's Broncos team was better. That's just what it seems like. I mean, they lost Jerry Jeudy. Did they lose someone on defense? They might have lost someone big on defense. I'm not confident in them, so I'm going 4-13. Next, we have the Chargers. And before I reveal this, I'd like to say something about the Chargers. I was about to say in defense of the Chargers. I've seen a lot of people, disrespect the Chargers, saying they were not going to be good this year. I've seen some 5-12s. I've seen some 7-10s. I just don't see that happening. I have them going 11-6. Now, of course, they're not going to win the division because they have the same division as the Chiefs. But I see the Chargers team being a good team. And you can see my ceiling. I'm confident in this Chargers team. I have them going 15-2. Now, why do people say that the Chargers might not do good? Well, their receiving core, I do admit, is not that good. They have a rookie. I don't know who their tight end is. Quentin Johnson sucked last year. I don't know who their I don't know who their RB is. So That could be a problem. And their defense may not be the best defense. They have Joey Bosa, players like that. They don't have like a top 10 defense, but they have Justin Herbert back. Justin Herbert's a great QB. They have a new head coach. They don't have Brandon Staley anymore. They have Jim Harbaugh. I don't know if I'm saying the right Harbaugh. I think they have the guy who just won the national championship. Now, if there's any Michigan fans, turn it off. Now, did Michigan cheat for 2 years? Yeah. But he still won the national championship. Did Michigan kind of have J.J. McCarthy, who never kind of threw the ball, and they only really ran the whole time? Yeah, but Jim Harbaugh is a pretty good coach. And it's not Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley sucks. Maybe Jim Harbaugh can come in here, whip all these wide receivers and running backs and tight ends, whoever they are, back into shape, and this Charger team could be really good. Now, the floor might be a little too high. I have the floor at 10-7. But they don't play that hard of opponents. Now, of course, they play the Chiefs twice, but they have the Panthers, they have the Broncos, Cardinals, Titans. I don't think the Titans are going to do good this year. That might be biased. They also have the Patriots too, and they play the Broncos and Raiders twice. I don't see this team being bad unless something bad happens. So that's my little defense of Chargers. Take that how you will. Next, of course, we got the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, and they're obviously going to go first in the West with a 13-4 record. Because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? It's the Chiefs. Now, surprisingly, I actually don't have them starting off too. I have them losing to the Ravens. I believe they're going to beat the Bengals, but, you can never trust playing Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's 3-1 against the Chiefs. You never know. But I do have the Chiefs winning. And then they're going to win to the Falcons. And then I have them losing to the Chargers. I believe that's the Chargers home game. Then I have them losing to the 49ers. But other than that, they play the Saints, Raiders twice, Broncos twice, Bucks, Panthers. Maybe they lose to the Bills. Texans is, a harder game. But other than, those first few games that I mentioned, the Chargers at home, Ravens, 49ers, maybe the Bengals, maybe the Texans, maybe the Bills, they're not going to lose another game. And I have the ceiling 16-1. The only team I see beating them, if they do go 16-1, would be the 49ers to get their revenge. But you can never, count out the Chiefs team no matter what. You had people getting arrested left and right. Rashee Rice going 100 down the speedway and not getting suspended because it's the Chiefs. Got other controversies. They've been surrounded in all of this, and they're going to go out onto the field with Patrick Mahomes, and they're going to beat everyone up. Because that's just how the Chiefs are. I don't see it being any different. I don't have any reason to suspect it to be any different. They just got Xavier Worthy too. So, yes, Chiefs good. No surprise there. Even the floor is 11-6. That's probably still going to be the first seed somehow. What? I'm just tired of the Chiefs' dominance. Once the Colts come out and beat everyone, then we're going to be a better league. But for right now, Chiefs, first in the AFC West. First in the conference. Everything. You just get everything. And finally, the Raiders. When I don't have a ceiling or a floor, that just means when I looked at it in a whole, I did not, see any improvement or deprovement. Now, why do I have the Raiders 4-13? I did the Raiders dirty last year. I do have to admit that. I had them go 1-16. And 4-13 is still pretty harsh. Looking at it, it doesn't look good for them. Of course, Chargers twice, Chiefs twice. Probably the Broncos once. Other than that, they play the Ravens, they play the Browns, they play the Steelers, They play the Bengals. They play the Dolphins. They play the Falcons. Crazy voice crack. You can even say they play the Jaguars. Not too confident on the Jaguars this year, but their schedule is surprisingly tough for a team that is not there yet. I do like their defense. I like Gardner Minshew. He carried our team to a 9-8 record. Our meaning the Colts again. Of course. Did he sell in that Tyler Goodson pass? Maybe. But there's parts that I like about this team, and I like the coach, but I think they're in a rebuilding year. I think they need this rebuilding year. I feel like they need to get 2-3 years, maybe a new quarterback, and then they'll be contenders again. But right now, they're rebuilding, in my opinion, and I think that even if they don't want to, they probably should go this route. But next, we have AFC East. At first, we're going to start off with the Bills. Don't be mad, Bills fans, but I have y'all going 9-8. Third in the division, and yes, this would miss the playoffs for you guys. But you have to hear me out on this one. Lost Stephon Diggs. Lost a ton of people on their defense. Josh Allen's always going to give him a chance, but Josh Allen's always going to throw 1 to 2 stupid picks a game. And with less receivers to throw to, you don't like the trend. They lost a lot of their defensive players. Von Miller sucks. He's washed. He should retire, to be honest. It's still the Bills. It's still Josh Allen's Bills. They're not going to go like 5-12. I do still think they break even. Have a winning record. I do have the floor 8-9. But, of course, they're going to lose to the Dolphins once. I think, maybe. You can never trust the Dolphins. They play the Ravens. They play the Texans. Texans are a harsh team. They play the Jets. They're going to lose to the Jets once, obviously. I have confidence that the Colts can beat them. I think the Colts are a little better team. A little bit better team than the Bills. Okay, that's bias talking. Chiefs and 49ers. Lions and Rams. Rams, they probably beat the Rams, but that'll be a tough game. Sorry. And they'll probably drop one to the Patriots. They don't have the defense to win games. And I said the same thing. I'd say the same thing for the Colts if I wasn't biased. I'd say the same thing about a lot of teams. And it's basically the same thing as I was saying with the teams that don't really have an offense. You don't have an offense, you don't have a defense that's good, you're not going to win 12, 13 games. Now, if they do step it up, and if the Bills receivers can catch balls, yes, they'll probably go 12-5 and win the division. But right now, I have them going 9-8, missing the playoffs. No harm to anyone when I say that, but that just seems right. Next, we have the Dolphins, and last year I had them going like 14-3, getting first in the division. That's not what I see this year. I see them going 10-7, but I do not see anything lower than 10-7. Now, that could be possible, obviously, but let me tell you the hard games. They play the Bills once. I think the Colts can put up a fight and win, because it's October 20. Maybe it's like 30 degrees out. Open the windows. If I didn't say this already, they're going to lose to the Bills once. They're probably going to drop one to the Jets. Probably drop one to the Patriots. Texans are going to be a hard game. 49ers going to be a hard game. Browns could be interesting. But other than that, Seahawks, Patriots, Cardinals, I think they can beat the Rams. Browns is interesting. So, I have them set at 10-7. I, once again, am defending Tua from all the Tua haters. Tua turned the ball over. Tua can't play in not hot. He can definitely play in hot weather. Can't play in warm. Keep messing that up. Can't play in cold weather. I've heard that before, but Tua is good. Tua is good. I'm going to keep saying this until I see that he's not good. Tua is good when he's in the right, kind of mode. When he's not good is when he's out of that mode. Or when it's cold outside. Stuff like that. So, also, the Packers could be an interesting game. But, I don't see going under 10-7. Their ceiling could be high, though. I'm confident that they could have a high ceiling, go maybe 14-3. But I'm going 15-2. Notable people: Tyreek Hill, Waddle, the runners in Achane and Mostert. They still got Jalen Ramsey on the defense. They're not going to be that bad. They're not going to be bad. I think they can do good. Next, we have the Jets. Now, when I actually tallied this up, I didn't, see it like it was going to be this way, but I actually do have the Jets going first in the AFC East and winning the playoff bid. Winning the division playoff bid, at least. Because 49ers is a hard game. They're not going to win that. They're going to lose to the Bills once, lose to the Dolphins once, maybe the Patriots once, maybe the Steelers. I think the Texans and Colts can both put up hard games against them. But other than that, maybe the Jaguars. Other than that, Jets defense is really good. Jets offense is really good. And unless some freak accident, the 49ers player who played for the Bills last year, unless that guy blows up Aaron Rodgers' other Achilles, I think they'll go 11-6. Now, if Aaron Rodgers is washed, they'll probably go like 8-9, 7-10, and miss the playoffs. And if Aaron Rodgers is an MVP level, comeback player of the year level, they'll go 14-3. It's really all relying on Aaron Rodgers because they have the players: Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, multiple players on the defense, including Sauce Gardner. They have the players. It all depends on the QB. If the QB's bad, the team's not gonna get a winning record. If the QB is good, they're gonna win the division. If the QB is MVP level, they're going to win a lot of games. That's what I really have to say about the Jets. Finally, and sorry in advance, I have the Patriots going 3-14. I'm not sure if it's tied for the worst record or not in the AFC, but they need another year or two. Drake May looked good, but they're not beating the Seahawks. They're not beating the Niners. They're not beating the Texans. They're not beating the Colts. They might pull one out of their division rivals, but to be honest, with the Dolphins, Jets, and even the Bills, those are all tough teams. You might not win one of those. Jaguars, Bears. The Bears I have as a better team this year because they picked up a lot. Cardinals maybe could be winnable, but they don't have a ton of, lock winnable games. And your floor, 1-16. Maybe you'll win over the Cardinals. Of course, ceiling, 4-13. But they just don't have the players. They have the QB. They have a good CB. They don't have the players. They need to tank, in my opinion. They need to get, some wide receivers, some more players on the defense. And you need to go into a long rebuild, especially under the new head coach. And we'll see where they are in 2 years. But for right now, I don't see the Patriots being good unless they can pull off some upsets. Finally, for the AFC, we have the AFC South. And guess which team I'm going to talk about first? Indianapolis. Before you say anything, I'm going to explain why I think this. I have the Indianapolis Colts going 12-5 and winning the division. I know what you're thinking. Oh, this guy's biased. He's a Colts fan. Of course, he's going to say they're going to go 12-5. Hear me out for a second. They start off with hard games, right? Texans at home. That's going to be tough. I have the Colts winning that. Packers at Lambeau. It's going to be tough, but I have the Colts winning. The Bears, they're not too shabby of a team, but I have us winning that too. Starting 3-0, that could easily be 0-3. I can admit this right now, that can easily be 0-3. And we play the Steelers. I have us losing to the Steelers. We play the Jaguars at Jacksonville. I have us losing that. We can easily start off 0-5. And to be honest, even though I don't think the Titans are good, we can lose to the Titans at the Titans' place and start 0-6. Now that's the disaster scenario. That's the disaster scenario. And then, of course, this schedule gets easier. Now, Dolphins, Jets, Bills. You can say all you want. There's an easy possibility that we sweep all three of them. Why do I say that? Dolphins, Dolphins are probably the hardest one. Tua may make some mistakes. Jets, seen what happened the last time the Colts played the Jets. Of course, the Jets were bad then, but I think the Colts are a better team than the Jets. I think the Colts are the better team than the Bills. So I have us taking all three of those. We're going to lose to the Texans at Texans' place, obviously. And then, of course, there's the Lions game. I have us losing to the Lions. So I have us losing to Steelers, Jaguars, Titans, Texans, Lions. But let me tell you the rest of our games. Patriots, Broncos, Titans at home, Giants, Jaguars at home. You look at that last 5 stretch, easily go 5-0 there. That's what I have. 5-0, 3-0, that's already 8-0. And then I have us winning Dolphins, Jets, Bills. That's 11. And then the Vikings game in between Dolphins, Texans, Bills, Jets, and Lions. That's an easy game. Vikings, easy game. There's not going to be no 33-0 comeback without Kirk Cousins and all of them. So, again, I see the bias. I see the bias here. Drop the Dolphins, Jets, Bills games, 9-8. Drop a game against the Bears, Packers, or Texans at the start. Easily 8-9, 7-10, 6-11. It's possible. It is very possible that the Colts go 7-10, 6-11, crash out, and we might have to start looking somewhere else. But right now, I'm confident in the offense. I'm confident in Anthony Richardson. The preseason was not too good, but we saw last year he only threw 1 pick to 7 touchdowns when he played. Receiving room, top 10. Adonai Mitchell, rookie. Josh Downs, he's injured right now, but Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce is alright. The problem here is the secondary. D-line, amazing. O-line, pretty good. If the secondary gets torched, we go 7-10. If the secondary can make something happen, I see us going where 12-5 in that direction. Now, I have the ceiling at 14-3. That would be the best case scenario. That'd be like winning against the Steelers, Titans twice, and then maybe like the Lions, or maybe like the the Titans. If I said that already. Yeah, Titans, again, Steelers. Don't blame me for being confident in my own team. We got Titans fan over here thinking the Titans are going to be good. Panthers fan over here thinking the Panthers are going to be good. Seahawks fan over there thinking the Seahawks are going to be good. You know, we're all delusional, to be honest. Next, Jacksonville Jaguars 7-10. Let me explain. I'm not confident in Trevor Lawrence anymore. Trevor Lawrence played good 1 year. He's played mediocre ever since. That's just a fact. They played the Dolphins at home. Is that week 1? Week 1. Dolphins at home. With that offense, you might already be saying, why didn't you say the same thing for the Colts? That's later in the season. Week 1 at home, Dolphins are taking. Browns is going to be a hard game. Bills is going to be a hard game. Play the Texans twice, play the Colts twice. They're probably going to drop one to the Titans. Bears, Packers, those are semi-beatable. Eagles, Lions, Jets. Again, say a thing about us. And combined with the fact that I don't think their defense is that good. I don't think their offense is that good. Who do they have on offense? Calvin Ridley, Trevor Lawrence. Who else, really? They have ETN at running back. I'm not confident in this Jaguars team. You can blame me if they're good, but I'm not confident in them at all. Texans 9-8. That seems crazy, but hear me out, okay? Hear me out. Colts week 1 should be a loss. Beat the Bears, beat the Vikings. They gonna lose one to the Jaguars. They might lose to the Bills. Lions, Cowboys. Jets, like I said. Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens. They have a hard schedule. Really hard schedule. They could go 8-9. They can also go 13-4. It's going to depend if CJ Stroud can live up, which I think he will. If CJ Stroud and his offense can live up to the hype, it's very possible that he does. It's also very possible that they don't live up to the hype. He's been being talked as top 5, top 3, places like that. If he doesn't live up to that, if he's top 10, top 15, the Texans might not be that good. But, I digress. Finally, Titans 4-13. I don't have to say much. It's the Titans. They suck. Start off with the Bears. Play the Jets, Packers, Dolphins, Colts, Bills, Lions. Their first real winnable game is the Patriots. Then they play the Chargers. Then they play the Vikings. That's winnable. Then they play the Texans twice. Not in a row, obviously. Then they play the Commanders. Commanders are interesting. I actually have the Commanders not doing too bad. Play the Jaguars twice. Play the Bengals. Their schedule's hard. Their schedule is hard. Will Levis could be good, could be not. I still have them going 6-11 as a seed. They've gotten a lot of people, but they're all washed. They're all old. So, Titans are bad. But anyway, I digress. This is what I have as the AFC play-up bracket. I have Baltimore Ravens first seed, Kansas City Chiefs second seed, Colts third seed, easily exchanged with Texans. Maybe we don't even make the playoffs at all. Jets at the 4th seed, Bengals 5th seed, Chargers 6th seed, Dolphins 7th seed. kind of what I have for AFC. So that Dolphins versus Chiefs, Colts versus Chargers, Jets versus Bengals. So that's the AFC. If this video is late, it's because my phone storage is full and I had to edit the NFC part in because I'm not doing this all at once. So if the video is like Friday or Saturday and is extremely late, one, that's on me because I should have done this a long time ago. And two, that's because I have to edit this together and it's going to be like a 15-minute video when I only had like 5 gigs of storage. So hopefully you see this guy on time, guys. But on to the NFC. Alright, we're back to start off the NFC. If my voice is different from the last recording, I was outside for 2 hours working with Timothy grass, and apparently I'm allergic to it, so I haven't been able to breathe well, or like breathe through my nose. So if there's any difference, I already apologize, but let's get into it. Division 5, the NFC North. This year obviously is going to be a little different because I do have the Chicago Bears going 10-7 and making the playoffs. The reason I like the Chicago Bears more than I did the last year is because they actually have a team now. You know, their defense is solid, they have good offensive playmakers, and they have a good QB, or at least what we think will be a good QB. If Caleb Williams is a bust, then, 7-10 is probably what we're going to see from the Chicago Bears, like I said before. But their ceiling is also pretty high, too. It could be 13-4. Now, they got the 4th place schedule, so their schedule's a bit easier. That's why I have them going 10-7. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to pull like a CJ Stroud type performance, but I think he's going to do pretty good. Of course, you never know what Bears QBs. Everyone said Justin Fields was going to do amazing, and then he bombed 3 straight years. Didn't play good really in any of them, and that's what led to him getting traded to the Steelers. But I think Caleb Williams is a good QB, way better than Justin Fields. It is his first year, but I think the Bears can actually pull something together this year, and they can make the playoffs for the first time in a while. I don't even know when the last time they made the playoffs. Only playoff game I know from the Chicago Bears is when Cody Parker hit the uprights twice and lost the game for them, and the Eagles won. Better times. But next we have the Detroit Lions, and I have them going 13-4. Second best record, other than the 49ers, of course. I feel like now they're definitely a more solid team. They actually have a kicker now. If you don't know him, Jake Bates. He comes from the UFL. I made a lot of videos on the UFL if you had watched. Basically every Battlehawks game. And then the championship game. But Jake Bates is the same guy that hit the walk-off 65-yard game-winner kick against the Battlehawks. He was on the Michigan Panthers week 1. And, at that moment, I kind of knew that he was going to make the league. Glad he's at the Detroit Lions. They really needed a kicker. So maybe now Dan Campbell won't go for it on every 4th down and purposely make the Lions lose in the NFC Championship game. That could be a possibility. We all know Offense is great. One of the best O-lines in the league. They got Jared Goff. Jared Goff's around top 10. Amon-Ra, J-Mo Williamson. The running back tandem, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, tight end. They have a really good offense. Not really a dud on there. Defense is a tad bit lacking, but I still think their defense will do good. You know, they have Aiden Hutchinson. So for the Lions, I have them going 13-4, but their schedule is, you know, pretty hard, to be honest. They always seem to lose to the Seahawks, to be honest. Texans, Bills, 49ers, they play the Packers. They're going to lose to the Packers once. Probably going to lose to the Bears once. So, of course, if the Jaguars are good, maybe Colts, Cowboys. So, I have them winning a lot of those games, including the Colts game, obviously, and the Cowboys game, because I think the Lions will get their get back for last year, where they got undeniably robbed by the refs. But if everything goes wrong, they could go 8-9. If everything goes right, they could go 15-2 and be the first seed. But I think this is a crucial year for the Lions. They're clear Super Bowl contenders. I think they can beat any team in the league. Yes, even the Chiefs. You'll see later. Yes, the 49ers, they can beat the 49ers. I think they can beat any team in the league. But I also think it's a crucial year because, you know, after this year, what's really going to happen? You know, are they going to stay up top like that? Or, you know, are they not and fall down like the Lions usually do? But we'll see with this team. We'll see. Next, I have the Packers. I have them going 11-6. You can never doubt a Packers QB, apparently, because last year I did not have the Packers doing good at all. I had no confidence in Jordan Love. And to be honest, I was right at the start. They started like what? 2-5? I mean, they lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Broncos before they were good. And in those games, Jordan Love looked terrible. And then he turned it around second half of the season and picked it up and made the playoffs, upset the Chiefs. Not the Chiefs, obviously. They did upset the Chiefs, but not in the playoffs. He upset the Chiefs. When they made the playoffs, they upset the Cowboys as the first 7th seed to do that. They legitimately had a great shot to win that game against the 49ers. It was honestly a joke how they didn't do it. Carlson missed a kick. That kick return, that could have been a touchdown, and they didn't get that. They honestly could have made the NFC Championship game against the Lions. So, this year, I've definitely got more confidence in Jordan Love. Not so much his receivers, because, they have Christian Watson, but none of their receivers have really proven themselves. Jair Alexander on the defense, of course, but I feel like the Packers could be a decent team, go 11-6. Not the hardest opponents in the world. Some of their hard opponents include the Eagles week 1, Colts week 2. I honestly think the Packers start like 0-2, in my opinion. That's because Colts bias, of course. Pretty sure a lot of people have the Packers winning that game. They played Texans. Of course, they're going to lose to the Lions once, probably the Bears once. Lose to the Dolphins. They have the Dolphins. They have the 49ers. But other than that, their schedule isn't horrible. If everything goes wrong, Jordan Love falls off for some odd reason, we could be looking at a 7-10 season. But then again, some Packers magic's gonna have him playing like MVP, prime Rodgers, prime Brett Favre, and they'll somehow make the Super Bowl and win, going 15-2. But last and unfortunately least, we have the Minnesota Vikings, and this year, have them going 4-13. A lot of bad things have happened in the off season for them. One of their rookies, unfortunately, was killed in a car accident by a drunk driver. And then J.J. McCarthy, he blows his knee off after one game. He's not going to be able to play this whole season. I believe someone else got injured too. I think Jordan Addison's questionable right now. Nothing's going good for the Vikings right now. And last year, I was defending them to the core. I had them going like 13-4 and winning the division last year. And of course, it didn't start off so good. And then they picked it up, beat the 49ers, and then Kirk Cousins got injured, and that ended their season. Although Josh Dobbs did come in, play a good few games. Fortunately, I can't defend the Vikings anymore. Lost Danielle Hunter, lost Kirk Cousins, a lot of people injured. Starting QB got his knee blown off. Or his meniscus. Let's see where the meniscus is. Okay, it is basically the knee. You got his meniscus blown off. And what probably would have been like a 7-10, 8-9 rebuilding season is unfortunately going to be a 4-13 season for the Vikings because Sam Darnold, Jared Hall, they're not going to do good. They don't have that good of a defense either. Saying the same thing last year. Yeah, I'm going 4-13. If everything goes wrong, they could honestly go winless, even though they have Justin Jefferson. And, they might pick up one extra win if they perform their best. I mean, there's always a possibility, of course, but, it's just unfortunate what's happened. Next, of course, we have the NFC West. Starting off with the NFC West, we have San Francisco 49ers, who I predict to be the best team in the league, at least in the regular season. Only games I see them losing are like the division games. Maybe one to the Seahawks, one to the Rams. There's always a possibility that they lose to the Cowboys, although I don't see that happening. They do play the Chiefs. I think they get back against the Chiefs. But 4-13, this is a crucial year for them because they're going to have to start playing a bunch of people soon. Sooner rather than later. It might be their last year to contend. So I think they're going to contend well. Of course, we all know their team. One of the best offenses in the league. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy. Players like that. The defense, one of the best defenses in the league. We all know that too. So, I mean, it's just like the Chiefs. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. So, next, Cardinals, 2-15. This might be potentially one of my worst ones because, it seems like the Cardinals are getting better. I don't really have faith in the Cardinals. And to be honest, they don't really have the easiest schedule in the world. Of course, their division members are all better than them. Play the Lions, play the Packers, play the Chargers, Dolphins, Bears, Jets, Seahawks maybe, Vikings, Patriots, Panthers, those teams are beatable. Other than that, they play a tough schedule. And to be honest, we haven't seen Kyler Murray really in a while. So, we need to see how he's going to perform. We need to see how Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to do. What he's going to do. I don't know anyone on their defense. Is Budda Baker still in Arizona? Maybe. So, not confident in the Cardinals. There's obviously an opportunity if everything goes wrong for them to go 0-17. But I'm 2-15. Best case scenario. would probably be around 5-12. But if they go 7-10, it won't be the most surprising thing in the world. It's just their schedule is really hard. Next, we have the Rams, and a lot of people have been gassing up the Rams. I think the Rams go 8-9 and miss the playoffs. Yeah, the Rams are a good team per se, but I wouldn't say that they're a playoff team or they're a winning record team. I think they go 8-9. I think Matthew Stafford's going to start slowing down. Of course, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, great receivers. Is Kyron Williams a running back? Not the best running back in the world. They lost Aaron Donald. A little bit concerned for the defense. I don't know many players on the defense. So, I have them going 8-9. Respectable season, but not good enough to make the playoffs. They play the Lions, 49ers, Packers, Bears. Also play the Dolphins and the Eagles. 49ers twice, of course, we know that. Also play the Jets, so their schedule is hard. So, I just don't really see them I don't see them going 12-5, 13-4, one of the best teams in the league, making the playoffs easily. If they make the playoffs, it's going to be because they went 7-10, in my opinion. Now, they're still a good team they'd still be a good team in the playoffs. You wouldn't want to play them, of course. Although, it'd probably be an easier opponent than, the Lions or the 49ers, It's not like a Commanders, where if they somehow make the playoffs, they're just going to get destroyed. The Rams wouldn't be destroyed. It'd be a tough fight, but I don't think they'd win. So, I have them going 8-9. Finally, for this division, we have the Seahawks, and I also have the Seahawks going 8-9. I think Seahawks going 8-9 is a bit high, but after doing, all of the researching, looking over the schedule, 8-9 doesn't seem too far-fetched for this kind of team. We have to see how Geno Smith's going to play. It's obvious that they have good receivers, decent running back. Not too certain about defense. They just got a new head coach too. And, some hard games for them. Include the Lions, include the Dolphins, include the 49ers. Falcons could be interesting. Bills, 49ers, twice, obviously. Jets, Packers, Bears, teams like that. I don't see them making the playoffs. I see them 9-8 max. And if everything goes wrong, they could go 5-12. Which I think they should do. I think they should go into a rebuild. Try to get a QB in the draft. But I'm just not really that confident in them this year. Next, of course, we have the NFC East. And first, we have the Commanders. Now, I did the same thing last year with the Commanders, but I actually don't have the Commanders doing that bad, surprisingly. I have them going 8-9. You might think that's crazy, but let's be honest, they play the Giants twice. No, I'm messing around. Some of their easy teams: Cardinals, Panthers. Like I said, Giants twice. Titans and Saints. Those are some of the easier teams, but they play the Cowboys twice. They play the Eagles twice. I think the Commanders are good enough to take one out of each of them. Of course, some of their harder games: Falcons, Browns, you could say, Bengals, Ravens. Those are some of the harder teams. I like Jaden Daniels. I think he might have a better performance than Caleb Williams, in my opinion. Got Terry McLaurin, Their defense isn't the most notable, I do admit, but I feel like their defense is okay enough. So I have the Commanders going 8-9. But if everything goes wrong and the rookie plays like a rookie, there is a high chance that they go 3-14. I don't see the ceiling happening. I see the floor happening more than the ceiling happening. And I said the same thing last year about the Commanders. But 8-9. Next, we have the Cowboys. Cowboys are not going to win the division this year because the NFC... The NFC East always has a new division winner every year for like the past 20 years. But Dallas Cowboys, I have them going 11-6. Obviously, I don't think they lose more than 10 games, and the ceiling is crazy, obviously. The ceiling is crazy. They play the Ravens, Niners, Lions, Eagles twice, obviously, Bengals. But other than that, it's really not that bad of a schedule. I guess you could also say the Texans if you want to. So I have them going 11-6. Of course, CeeDee Lamb just got his big contract. They got Ezekiel Elliott back. Dak Prescott, will he throw under 10 picks this year, or will he throw 25 picks this year? We're just going to have to see. And their defense is one of the best in the league. Trayvon Diggs is going to be back. Don't quote me on this, but I believe DaRon Bland is injured right now. I think he got injured recently. I was hoping it'd show up on the news tab on Google, but it didn't. I think DaRon Bland is injured. I think he can come back soon, though. So they're going to have DaRon Bland at some point. Micah Parsons, they have one of the best defenses in the league. So I don't see him doing that. And then when the playoffs comes, they're going to get upset. I mean, that's just obvious. That's just how the Cowboys roll. They make the playoffs being one of the best teams in the league, and then they choke. So 11-6. 16-1 is a bit crazy for the ceiling, but to be honest, the Cowboys have a shot at everyone on their schedule. But we have the Cowboys' rival next, which Philadelphia Eagles. I have going 12-5, winning the division. A little bounce back year from last year. The Eagles did choke very badly last year. They were 11-1. They were 6-0. And what happened? They went 1-6 in their last 7 games. Or is it 1-5? It was 1-2. They had a huge choked away the division lead. And then they got absolutely destroyed by the Buccaneers. So I think they're going to bounce back this year. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a way better season. Although the tush push might be nerfed because Jason Kelce did retire this offseason. But they do play some hard teams. Packers, Falcons, Bengals, Cowboys twice, obviously. Ravens. Every one of the other games should be a win. Other than maybe a drop from the Commanders and the Giants. So, I think they bounce back. I think they win the division. This team should be good in theory. But in practice, will it be good? We're going to have to find that out. Finally, we have the Giants. And the Giants, 4-13. I genuinely believe that their floor is more reasonable than the ceiling, to be honest. I'm not confident in this Giants team at all. They need to tank. Daniel Jones sucks. Yes, they did get a nice receiver in the draft. Go find him. Malik Neighbors. They got him. But other than that, Malik Neighbors, who's really good on the team? Who's really good on the team? I don't think it just doesn't look good for them at all. It doesn't. I mean, Tommy DeVito, he's cool, right? Yeah, they lost Saquon Barkley to the Eagles this offseason. And they now have Devin Singletary. So they downgraded when they already were bad. What do you think that means? They're going to do even worse. So I have them at 4-13. I genuinely think their floor is more feasible than their ceiling. And Giants fans, don't come after me. Because I know you guys really simp for your team, but you're not going to be good this year. You're not going to be good for a while. And the last division we have, the NFC South. And starting off with the Buccaneers. Some of you might not like this, but I have them going 7-10. And I did not see the schedule changing any one bit. I think they go 7-10. And if they don't go 7-10, then I'll be disappointed in my prediction skills. I don't have a ceiling for them. I don't have a floor for them. I just think they go 7-10. Why do I think they go 7-10? Well, let me recount some of their opponents. Lions, Eagles, Falcons twice, obviously. Saints, Panthers might take a bite out of one. Ravens, Chiefs, 49ers, Chargers, Cowboys. All of those teams, unless Baker just pops off, they're not going to beat them. They're not. They have a really hard schedule. I just don't see them living up to the hype. Now, you could say it's possible. Mike Evans re-signed, Baker Mayfield re-signed. They have some people on the defense. But with the amount of teams that are locked to beat them, I don't think they're going to do that good. And that's partly why I said that this team's going to go 7-10, only 7-10. Because either the Buccaneers are locked to win, or the Buccaneers are locked to lose. I don't see it going any other way. Except for maybe the divisional games against the Saints, Falcons. Well, I gotta hurry this up. 10% battery, everyone. Saints, Falcons, and Panthers, Maybe one of them are different. But, we'll see. If it's not 7-10, you can get on me in the comments. Next, we have the Falcons. Falcons just picked up Kirk Cousins. I have him going 11-6. I was confident in the Falcons last year. I did not know at all that Desmond Ridder was horrendous. I now know that Desmond Ridder is horrendous, but he's not on the team anymore. They now have Kirk Cousins, who I say is one of the best QBs in the league. I say he's top 10. We saw that last year before he got injured. We saw it in the games he lost. In the games he won, he never played bad. And along with that, the Falcons have been building a defense. They've been building a defense. They've gotten a lot of defensive players this offseason. Their offense should be good. Bijan Robinson. Great receivers. Kyle Pitts, tight end. Number 87. In theory, the Falcons should be good. Now, in theory, the Falcons should have been good last year, but they had Arthur Smith. Now they have Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris, he's a new head coach. But, I think he's going to do better than the other bum that was captaining the team. But 11-6. Some of their hard games include the Eagles, the Chiefs at the start of the season. The division rivals might nibble off one. Cowboys, Chargers maybe. But other than that, all of their games seem feasible. At the floor, 9-8, that'd still win them the division. And their ceiling, if they play the best, could be 14-3. But, of course, we'll have to see. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. And last year, I was a bit more confident on the Carolina Panthers than I am this year. I thought Bryce Young seemed good, so I thought he was going to play good. And he very much did not so. Now, you could say that's on the O-line. You could say that was on, receivers being bad, defense being bad. But to be honest, I'm not confident in Bryce Young. Now, they did get some more receivers, so we're going to have to see. Unfortunately, I mixed up the floor and the ceiling again. So, good job on me. Good job on my part. But the Carolina Panthers are going to have to prove to me that they're a good team. Because right now, I don't see them being a good team. I don't see them doing good. I don't see them playing good. They're just going to have to prove it. Of course, if they are a good team, I still don't see them with a winning division. I don't see them with a winning record. I see them going 8-9. And then their floor could be another 2-15 season with the first overall draft pick. So we're going to have to see. They got to prove themselves to me that they're going to play good. So, last and certainly least, we have the New Orleans Saints. And the Saints look terrible. They do. Their quarterback sucks. Derek Carr, he sucks. Their defense really isn't that good. And other than Alvin Kamara, they don't really have weapons. Well, Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. But other than that, they don't really have much, in my opinion. I think Derek Carr genuinely is going to play so bad that he's going to get benched for, who's the backup guy again? The guy they got, Spencer Rattler. I genuinely think he gets benched for him. Now, I don't think Spencer Rattler is the option either. I think they're going to have to draft a QB in the offseason. Draft, trading, stuff like that. But to be honest, I don't see the Saints doing good. I don't see their floor good. And I definitely do not see their ceiling good. And I had them going 9-8 last year, too. And they did not. They were bad. So I have them being bad again this year. But that's all of the record predictions for the NFC. And for the playoff bracket, we have the San Francisco 49ers as the first seed, the Detroit Lions as the second seed, Eagles as the third seed, Falcons as the fourth seed, Cowboys fifth seed, Packers sixth seed, and surprisingly, the Chicago Bears seventh seed. So, we'll get into the playoffs now. I don't really do the awards because I don't really care about those things. Like MVP, probably Anthony. No, I'm joking. MVP, maybe like Dak Prescott or someone. I don't know. Comeback player of the year, Anthony Rich. Probably Aaron Rodgers. DPOI is probably Latu. OPOI, Adonai Mitchell. Coach of the year, Shane Steichen. I'm going to stop now. And I don't really care about the awards, to be honest. Some feasible, easy picks. MVP, like Dak Prescott or Patrick Mahomes. Comeback player of the year, Aaron Rodgers. Not too sure about the coach of the year. Maybe one of the rookie coaches. Maybe Raheem Morris. OPOI, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, DPOI, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Sauce, Jair maybe. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think Laiatu has a chance at Defensive Rookie of the Year. No bias there. I think he generally has a chance, and I've seen a lot of people say Laiatu as Defensive Player of the Year. And then, Defensive Rookie of the Year. And the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. Probably Caleb Williams. Chicago Bears making the playoffs probably mean that Caleb Williams is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But now it is time to move on to the actual playoffs, as this is a record and playoff prediction. For our wild cards, we have Kansas City beating the Dolphins. That's going to be an Arrowhead again. We all know Tua can't play in the cold. I have Chiefs beating the Dolphins. Colts, maybe there's bias there. Colts beating Chargers. The Colts will be the home team there. Haven't had playoffs since 2021. In Chargers side, even though I was kind of hyping them up, honestly, I'm just glazing, honestly. Moving on, and I have the Bengals beating the Jets. I think the Bengals are a better team than the Jets, and the only reason they're not first seed, second seed, anything like that is because the Ravens exist. So I think the Bengals probably beat the Jets. For the other side of the coin, Lions probably easily beat the Bears. I think the Eagles can take the Week 1 rematch and beat the Packers. And in a shocking upset, I have the Falcons beating the Cowboys because Cowboys suck. Moving on, for the divisional round, I have the Ravens beating the Bengals. There's probably a very viable possibility that the Bengals win that game because, Joe Burrow is amazing in the playoffs. People try to downplay that, but he's good in the playoffs. The Ravens, not so good in the playoffs, but I think the Ravens are the better team, in my opinion. And with the Ravens being home, first seed again, they're definitely going to win that. And then, unfortunately, even though the Colts own the Chiefs in the regular season, they do not own the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Colts are going to drop to the Chiefs. That's just obvious. Who's stopping Patrick Mahomes at this point? For the other side of the coin, we have the 49ers beating the Ravens. Not the Ravens. The 49ers beating the Falcons. His Falcons team probably needs one more year to truly be a Super Bowl contender. Of course, I have them making the playoffs, winning the wild card. Obviously, if you win the wild card, there's always a chance you can make it and win. But at this point, I feel like they need one more year to truly contend and be able to beat everyone on their schedule and everyone in the playoffs. And of course, I have the Lions. I believe, no, it's not technically an upset. Lions, they want revenge for last year. I think they're the tad bit better team than the Eagles. It's a possibility that they flame out. What happened last year, obviously. So, up to the conference championships, I have, of course, Kansas City beating the Ravens. Because, let's be honest, I don't see the Chiefs losing to the Ravens. I don't see the Chiefs losing to anyone in the AFC, other than maybe the Bengals, because the Bengals have the Chiefs number, 3-1. I hope it's wrong. It's probably not. Be honest with ourselves. And then, I actually have the Lions this year beating the 49ers. Last year, they clearly showed they could do it. They were up 21-0. Yes, they choked it, but that's part Dan Campbell not kicking the ball once, and now that they have a competent kicker, there's no reason for them not to kick. I have them actually beating the 49ers this year. And that leads up to the Super Bowl. Chiefs-Lions, who's going to win? Well, let me tell you something. Jared Goff is 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes. Jared Goff's never lost to Patrick Mahomes. Once as a Ram, once as a Lion. Who's to say that streak doesn't continue? Lions make their first ever Super Bowl, and in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, I have the Lions beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And in the Super Bowl, I have the Lions beating... I didn't intend to do that at first. It kind of just flowed into that. But I have the Lions winning the first Super Bowl ever. Jared Goff clearly owns Patrick Mahomes. That's obvious. And you might say that, how would the Chiefs lose in the Super Bowl? Well, it's possible. It could have happened last year if the 49ers knew the playoff rules. They won the coin toss. And they're like, let's keep the ball. We can win off of one possession. No, you can't. You cannot win on one possession in the playoffs anymore. What? Lions, Super Bowl winners. First Super Bowl in franchise history. And we move on to 2026, where the Colts will start their 10-peat dynasty and own the league for eternity. Thank you for watching this extremely long video filled with mumbled words and pauses like that. If you're going to watch this long a video all the way through, I kindly ask if you would subscribe. Close to 100 subscribers. I'm hoping this puts it over. Of course, this could always just get 5 views and bomb. But I hope not. I hope it's like last year where it did pretty good. But that's all. Peace. I'll see you guys when the Colts play. And yeah, that's it. Peace.